The top stories tonight in Y News. Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte has accepted the offer to be the new chairperson of the Lakas-CMD party, while President Rodrigo Duterte endorsed the tandem of Mayor Sara and Senator Bongo in the 2022 polls.
The Interagency Task Force has approved the phased implementation of limited face-to-face classes for all programs, but under certain conditions.
And several local governments are now crafting ordinances that will prohibit unvaccinated children from entering public spaces like malls.
Good evening, Philippines and the world. We are now reporting live from Quezon City. Today is Wednesday, November 17, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media accounts and our website, untvweb.com. I am William Theo.
First in the news. The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, has approved the phased resumption of limited face-to-face classes in colleges and universities under the alert level system. These will start in December 2021. Rosalie Cons explains why.
The Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF, has approved the proposal of the Commission on Higher Education, or CHED, on the phased implementation of limited face-to-face classes for all programs under the COVID-19 alert level system. Phase 1 implementation period for all higher education institutions, or HEIs, in areas under Alert Level 2 will be from December 2021 onwards, while Phase 2 implementation period for HEIs in areas under Alert Level 3 will be in January 2022. Limited face-to-face classes in alert levels 1, 2, and 3 are subject to certain conditions such as 50% indoor capacity, no opposition from the local government unit concerned, and participation of fully vaccinated teaching and non-teaching personnel and students only. Meanwhile, third-year nursing student Mary Elizabeth Tolentino is one of those excited to return to her campus in Manila.
After almost 2 years ng implementation ng online classes, excited po ako sa pagbabalik ng face-to-face classes. As a student from the pamantasan ng lungsod ng Maynila, I look forward na makita ulit yung campus, of course my fellow blockmates and our professors as well. For me po kasi, iba po ang atmosphere ng school and ng classrooms. They're more conducive in learning, kaya I really look forward sa resumption ng face-to-face classes.
She also said she is not having doubts of going back to school because she is already fully vaccinated and will always observe the health protocols against COVID-19. Rosalie Coz, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Several local government units begin drafting an ordinance to set an age limit for children entering malls. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
In adherence to President Rodrigo Duterte's directive to not allow children ages 11 and below in malls and other public places, the Department of the Interior and Local Government reported that several local government units, including Parañaque City, are drafting an ordinance to set an age limit allowed to enter in malls.
Marami na po mga LGUs ang nagbabalangkas na po ng kanilang mga ordinansa. Ngunit meron pong iba na meron na pong executive order.
According to DILG spokesperson Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, the executive order drafted by Parañaque City only allows children ages 12 to 17 inside malls and other shopping centers, provided that they are accompanied by fully vaccinated adults. For children ages 11 and below, they will only be allowed in alfresco or outdoor areas. However, the said executive order is still not yet effective.
Ito pong Parañaque ay meron ng EO, pending approval ng kanilang ordinansa. Ang sabi po sa akin ay bukas daw ay pag-uusapan na sa kanilang konseho kung ito na yung magiging pinal nilang pulisiya, which is pag below 12, not allowed to go to the mall or shopping center except in alfresco areas.
Once the technical working group of the Metropolitan Manila Development Authority has finished their discussion, the final policy to be implemented in the National Capital Region will be announced. For provinces, Malaya said governors and other municipalities can also discuss a unified policy for children going in malls. Meanwhile, the DILG will release the list of local government units who showed negligence in its COVID-19 vaccination drive. The department will send a show cause order, and once the local government unit has proven to have negligence in its vaccination drive, they can also face suspension or termination depending on the violation.
Tinatapos na po namin USEC at binavalidate yung report mula sa National Vaccine Operations Center. So baka po before the end of the week ay magkakaroon po kami ng issuance ng mga show cause orders as soon as aprobahan po ni Secretary Eduardo Anyo yung issuance nito sa mga LGUs.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health assures that booster dose administration among fully vaccinated healthcare workers is not mandatory. Aiko Miguel will tell us why.
Healthcare workers have the freedom to choose whether they will get their booster dose or not. DOH spokesperson Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere clarifies.
Boosting is voluntary. Hindi po ito required, hindi po minamandato sa ating mga healthcare workers. As long as you have already gotten your primary series o yung 2 doses nyo po ng inyong bakuna, you are already considered fully vaccinated. That's why we are giving you options.
However, there are initial studies stating that it can serve as additional protection after 6 months of possible waning efficacy of the received primary series of healthcare workers.
There is a potential benefit, but there is no guarantee there will be benefit until we get better studies. Pag-isipan nyo na mabuti kung kailangan nyo talaga ng booster. Kasi if hindi naman kayo highly exposed, hindi naman kayo kasama doon sa vulnerable population, then it's probably better to wait for better data because your protection against severe will continue. You already got the benefit from the primary vaccination.
Itong boosters, medyo isipin nyo ng maigi, consider your risk, consider your health status. Kasi the data nga is still evolving. Pero dahil nandito na nga tayo sa punto na marami na rin sa atin ang nakalampas dun sa 6 months from our second dose, syempre tama din namang i-offer as an option kahit yung data ay evolving sa ngayon.
If these healthcare workers decide to get their booster dose, the National Vaccine Operations Center or NVOC recommends booster doses combination. They can opt to use homologous or the same brand of vaccination, or heterologous or a different vaccine brand from their primary series. If they choose to go for heterologous vaccination, fully vaccinated of Sinovac can receive AstraZeneca, Pfizer, or Moderna. Those who receive AstraZeneca can choose Pfizer or Moderna as booster. Pfizer fully vaccinated healthcare workers can be vaccinated either with AstraZeneca or Moderna as their booster shot. And those with Moderna as their primary series can have AstraZeneca or Pfizer as their booster dose. But those inoculated with Gamaleya, Sputnik V, and Janssen will not be eligible for homologous vaccination. Instead, they can be vaccinated with AstraZeneca, Pfizer, or Moderna. Moderna boosters will only be administered by half of its regular dose or equivalent to 0.25 ml. Meanwhile, the DOH says booster dosing will also be a phased vaccination for other sectors. They will issue another guidelines after the booster dosing administration among healthcare workers or A1 sector.
There might be some minor changes as we roll out to our senior citizens and for those with immunocompromised states. So we will release further guidelines and we will also conduct a similar town hall para mas maliwanag din po sa mga sektor na ito, and we can also help clarify certain questions.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Healthcare workers received their booster shots today to add efficacy from the vaccine they received and to give more protection in case of COVID-19 surge. JP Nunez will tell us why live. Yes, JP, good evening.
Yes, Harleen, good evening. The recent antibody test of some health workers in National Kidney and Transplant Institute shows decreasing antibody level despite being fully vaccinated after 6 months. Eileen Perez received 2 doses of Sinovac vaccine. The results of her antibody test showed a decrease in her antibody level. This encouraged get Pfizer vaccine today as a booster shot.
Sa ano kasi kami sa supply, so different suppliers yung ma-encounter namin, outsiders. So kailangan talaga merong booster kasi exposed kami sa iba-ibang taong dumadating sa sa inventories. Kasi sa supplies kasi kami. So kung mag-receive ka, lahat ng suppliers, hindi mo naman maano kung sinong na-vaccine na doon. So kailangan talaga safe at saka kailangan number 1 may booster. At saka mababa lang kasi yung antibody yun sa IgG test 141 lang.
Health Secretary Francisco Duque III explains that booster shot is expected to add efficacy to COVID-19 vaccines.
Usually mga after 6 months, bumababa yung antibody protection level. Ngayon, itong ating booster dose, binibigay natin para maitaas uli at patuloy ang proteksyon taglay nitong bakuna.
In more than 1,000 medical workers of NKTI, 300 healthcare workers received their booster shots today. Meanwhile, other local government units in Metro Manila also begin inoculating their medical frontliners for booster shot. San Juan City vaccinated 600 of their medical workers with Pfizer as booster shot.
Dito sa San Juan, next week lang tapos na kami dito sa medical frontliners. Magsabihin po ng national government, proceed with the senior citizens. As long as we have enough vaccines, then we will do that. Sapagkat lahat naman po ng nabakunahan ng Marso ay tapos na ang 6 na buwan. No?
Kasi nag 6 months kami last month eh. So sana iniisip namin last month mabigyan na kami para mawala yung kaba ng mga health workers. Pero andito na siya, so maraming salamat. Nagpapasalamat talaga yung mga health workers. Kaya kita nyo sila nandito lahat.
Taguig City targeted around 1,000 health workers from City Health and Taguig Pateros District Hospital. The city aims to inoculate 20,000 health frontliners, including doctors, nurses, midwives, and attending COVID-19 patients to receive booster shot. Arlene, the government targets to inoculate booster shot to around 1.7 million health workers in the country to prepare for any COVID-19 surge. DOH will still observe the efficacy of booster shot to medical workers who will receive their vaccine. That is our latest live. Back to you, Harleen.
Thank you, JP Nunez, reporting live from Quezon City.
The Octa Research Group said they are not seeing any significant threat of COVID-19 in the country. Janice Inhente will tell us why.
The independent research team reports that the COVID-19 trend in the country was going down to less than 2,000 cases in the last few days. Yesterday, the country recorded 849 new cases, which is the lowest daily number since December 28, 2020. The 7-day average are now less than 10% or decreased from 2,005 to 1,809. For the reproduction number, it has decreased to 0.42 and the positivity rate is now just 4%.
We're not seeing a significant threat right now. We may see upticks due to mobility, but as we can see, we're already at close to a plateauing. And this is also the case in the NCR.
Professor Guido David of Octa Research Group reiterates that if the public will strictly follow the minimum public health standards, new cases in the country could decrease to 500 before the year's end. As the government begin its COVID-19 booster rollout, David said it will help in preventing future surge of COVID-19. However, he emphasized the government's need to focus on the entry of travelers coming from UK where Delta Plus variant are now prevalent.
As for the variants that we're looking at right now, it's the Delta AY 4.2. Right now, 94% of those cases are in the UK. So although this is something we're watching out for, it's mostly concentrated in the UK. I think we could just target our attention to maybe travelers from the UK.
The Department of Health previously reported that no case of Delta Plus variant has been recorded in the Philippines. Janice Inhente, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Philippines today logged 1,190 more cases of COVID-19, pushing the nationwide tally of confirmed infections to 2,820,494. The Department of Health, or DOH, said the latest count brought the country's active cases down to 23,846. Of these cases, 58% are mild, 19.60% are moderate, 12% are severe, 5.2% are asymptomatic, and 5% are in critical condition. Meanwhile, total recoveries rose to 2,750,531 after 2,759 more patients recovered from the disease. COVID-related deaths climbed to 46,117, with 309 new fatalities. Meanwhile, the overall global COVID-19 caseload has reached 254,420,498, while the deaths have surged to 5,115,235, according to the Johns Hopkins University. The United States is the worst hit country with the world's highest number of cases and deaths at 47,311,015 and 765,913 respectively, followed by India and Brazil. Vice Presidential aspirant Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio accepts the offer to lead the Lakas-CMD party. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte endorsed Senator Bongo and his daughter for president and vice president at a dinner for House members. Nel Maribohok will tell us why.
Senator Ramon Bong Revilla Jr. offered his current post as chairman of the Lakas-CMD to Vice Presidential aspirant Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio. According to Mayor Sara, she is honored to accept the post and she is looking forward to waging a successful campaign for BBM Sara tandem. Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte endorses the tandem of Senator Christopher Bongo and her daughter Mayor Duterte Carpio during a meeting with lawmakers in Malacanang Tuesday night. Diwa Party List Representative Michael Aglipay, who was present during the dinner meeting, said there are around 95 members from the House of Representatives that were present when they heard the pronouncement of President Duterte.
Si Pangulo ay mabilis lang nagsalita nang in-endorse Bongo, Sara Duterte tandem. Pero never na minention na yung Senate run niya. Ang nag-mention nun si Senator Bongo at saka si Speaker and the rest.
Also present in the meeting is House Speaker Lord Alan Velasco, who expressed support to Senator Go.
We are all here to show our support to Senator Bongo. To you, Mr. President.
Aglipay said leaders of 6 political blocs in the lower house support the Go Duterte tandem.
Lahat ng attend doon is for the Bongo-Sara tandem.
The lawmaker said he spotted a Lakas-CMD congressman in the meeting but refused to name the Solon. Apparently, House Majority Leader and Lakas-CMD President Martin Romualdez is not present in the meeting. Presidential aspirant Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. on Tuesday night also already announced that Lakas-CMD and his party Partido Federal ng Pilipinas have agreed to push a unified ticket in the 2022 elections with Mayor Sara as running mate. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
Former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. is facing another case before the Commission on Elections. Dante Amento tells us why.
A group of martial law victims filed a petition for disqualification against presidential aspirant Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. at COMELEC this morning. Attorney Howard Calleja, legal counsel for the petitioner, said it was a straightforward case seeking to disqualify former Senator Marcos from running for the 2022 national election. Calleja argues Marcos was convicted in 1997 for violation of the tax code after failure to file his income tax returns in 1982 to 1985, which is allegedly a ground of perpetual disqualification from holding public office.
Ang sinabi lang po dito, simpleng-simple, ang issue ay Marcos Jr. is a convict or has been judged by final judgment of violation of the tax code. So ang sinasabi natin po dito, because of the final judgment of conviction, siya po ay perpetually disqualified under the tax code, yung sinasabi natin section 253C.
Thus, Calleja added he will file a motion to immediately resolve the petition, particularly the first petition for intervention they filed last week.
Para mabilisan yung pagdesisyon, especially in the first case, tomorrow I will file a motion for speedy trial or to decide the case immediately for the first case para mabilisan. Kasi I think 20-something pa yung next hearing. So I'm hoping that I can push or seek the remedy of fast decision from the court.
Meanwhile, UNTV News asked for a reaction from Marcos's camp through his spokesperson Attorney Vic Rodriguez over the issue, but they have yet to respond. Dante Amento, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections has released a resolution enumerating the rules and regulations on the ban of firearms and engagement of security personnel during the election period. Lea Ilagan reports.
The Police Security and Protection Group will recall nearly 300 protective security personnel to 178 politicians and private individuals beginning January 9. PSPG spokesperson Police Major Jackson Cases said this will include 71 government officials and 107 private individuals. The recall of the police detail is in accordance with the COMELEC resolution, which will begin on January 9 to June 8, 2022 during the election period. Cases adds police detail will be retained if the COMELEC grants them exemption.
Yung January 9 po, automatic po muna nating i-recall yung ating mga personnel for accounting purposes. And then once na maipakita ng ating politiko o ng private individual yung kailang approve na certificate authority galing po sa COMELEC, saka po natin sila i-issuean ulit ng panibagong letter order para po makabalik sila sa kanilang mga VIPs o mga protectees.
Casas explains that police detail of the President, Vice President, Senate President, Speaker of the House, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, COMELEC Chairman and Commissioners, Defense Secretary, DILG Secretary, AFP Chief of Staff and PNP Chief will retain. He also added that the gun ban will be in effect starting January 9 and all permits to carry firearms outside of residence will be suspended. A letter of authorization from the COMELEC will be required for an individual to be allowed to carry his firearm. The police will also be subjected to the gun ban. They will be prohibited to carry a gun if they are not on duty and not in proper uniform.
Kahit po kaming mga pulis, kailangan din po namin mag-apply ng exemption sa COMELEC para po makapagdala kami ng firearms namin. Ang exemption lang po ng pulis, kailangan po naka-uniform kami. Ngayon po kung kami naka-civilian na o naka-plain clothes, kailangan po may present namin yung certificate of authority galing sa COMELEC.
Applications for the exemption of police detail and gun ban will begin on December 9. Lea Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
Formerly Pharmaceutical Corporation executives Mohit and Twinkle Dargani named 4 legal counsels to represent them on the issue of the alleged questionable deals with the government. The palace confirms one of them used to work for the office of the president. Harleen Delgado explains why.
Formerly executives Mohit and Twinkle Dargani have sent a letter to Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson Richard Gordon to allow their mother to visit them as well as their legal counsels. The Dargani siblings hired 4 lawyers to represent them on the issue involving the alleged anomalous deals of formerly with the procurement service of the Department of Budget and Management. They are lawyers Don Capunan, Dimitri Felix, Daryl Valles, while the other one has yet to be named. The Senate Sergeant-at-Arms says one of them, Valles, visited the Darganis yesterday. Gordon claims Valles lied about his connection in Malacanang. According to the senator, his staff found out that Valles was under the Office of the Special Assistant to the President, formerly headed by Senator Christopher Bongo. When Valles was asked again by the Office of the Senate Sergeant-at-Arms before leaving the Senate building whether he was the same person connected with Malacanang, Gordon claims Valles finally admitted he was, but claimed to have resigned from his post last February. The Blue Ribbon chairman calls it an attempt to hide a fact which raised more questions. Acting presidential spokesperson Carlo Nograles confirms that Valles used to work under the Human Resources Management Office under the Office of the President and resigned in March. He adds Valles then worked in an office under the House of Representatives. Senator Go, for his part, maintains he has no connection with the Office of the Special Assistant to the President for more than 3 years since he began his term as a senator. The senator adds he was aware about the resignation of Valles and that he has worked with various offices since then. Gordon meanwhile clarifies that the Darganis have the right to counsel, which they intend to always honor. The next Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing is set on November 26. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
And for the news abroad, the city of Bellingham in Washington, USA has begun its cleanup drive after devastating floods hit the city over the weekend. Queenie Rivera will tell us the details live. Yes, Queenie.
The city of Bellingham has been hit by excessive rain floods over the weekend, which forced the city to close its streets. Bellingham, with a little over 96,000 people, experienced more than 4.5 inches of rain in 36 hours. In the video footage captured through a drone, houses along Iowa Street and adjacent roads can be seen submerged in water. All roads were impassable. Bellingham Mayor Seth Fleetwood confirmed there were no lives lost, but could not confirm as yet the extent of damages caused by the flood as city officials began their tally. Meanwhile, Suma City, another small town in Washington near Canada and U.S. border, was also severely affected by floods. Mayor Kyle Christensen mentioned that approximately 75% of their homes have suffered water damages. 1,600 residents successfully evacuated, and roughly around 500 people in Whatcom County have been relocated. Back to you, RB.
Thank you, Queenie Rivera, for that live report. The European Union is preparing further sanctions against Belarus as the crisis escalates at the Belarusian border. Maven Dog will tell us why live. Yes, Maeve, please go ahead.
Mariel, around 4,000 migrants have gathered and resorted to violence in an attempt to illegally cross the border from Belarus to Poland. In footages showed by Poland's Ministry of Defense, the migrants were seen throwing rocks, bottles, and wooden logs at Polish officers and tried to break through the fences. In a tweet posted by the Polish Defense Ministry, the migrants were given sound grenades by the Belarusian authorities to throw at Polish soldiers. The European Union believes that Belarus is encouraging migrants to cross the border to seek revenge for sanctions imposed last year after the contested re-election of Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko. Belarus called the accusations of fueling the border crisis absurd. Reports also stated that Mr. Lukashenko had a call with Russia's President Vladimir Putin to discuss the crisis. Meanwhile, Poland's government spokesperson Piotr Muller said that the government has considered whether to launch formal consultations with NATO allies and is preparing for the possibility that this conflict could stretch out for months. Marielle?
Thank you, Maven Dog, reporting live. The International Olympic Committee recently released a new gender-inclusive framework for transgender athletes. Ia De Vera will tell us the details live. Yes, Ia, good evening.
Good evening, Marielle. The International Olympic Committee, or IOC, on Tuesday announced that the new framework aims to allow a fairer and just inclusion of all transgender and intersex athletes within the competition. The much-awaited change comes after the gender testing and said invasive physical examinations were deemed disrespectful and potentially dangerous for the athletes in order to determine the gender prior to joining the competition. It will support athletes and prevent them from making harmful decisions about their bodies, said Magali Martovich, IOC Head of Human Rights. Moreover, this framework replaces the previous 2015 consensus statement, which used testosterone as a blanket policy to determine if transgender athletes can fit the eligibility criteria across women's sports, according to IOC Medical Director Richard Budget. Now, individual international federations can use the new framework to develop their own individual eligibility criteria for each sport, so that no athlete will be unfairly excluded from the competition, regardless of their gender or testosterone levels. According to IOC Director of Athletes Kaveh Merabi, federations are not required to adopt specific policies. Instead, the framework is simply a guide to help them develop policies. The framework is a 10-point document put together in a span of 2 years in direct consultation with around 250 athletes and stakeholders across multiple countries, fields, and sports. The development of the guide is said to focus on evidence-based and peer-reviewed science, aiming to provide a safe and respectful environment for each individual identity to perform in. However, the IOC states that the ultimate decision falls on each individual's sport federations, making sure that restrictions are still in place to provide a fair and safe competition for all athletes. Marielle, the new framework is set to be rolled out after the Beijing Winter Games next year. Back to you, Marielle.
Thank you, Ia De Vera, for that live report. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I am Mariela Toza reporting live from Perth, Australia. Good evening.
The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas targets to issue banknotes made out of polymer to test its durability. However, the Philippine Fiber Industry Development Authority urges authorities to reconsider the use of polymer on banknotes. Asha Gadapan Jr. details why.
The Philippine Fiber Industry Development defends that the current paper bills used by the country since 2001 is composed of 80% cotton and 20% abaca, which is the strongest among natural fibers. These have superior qualities over other materials, including polymer, according to the agency. Polymer is the material that the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas has been pushing to be used in the country's banknotes in replacement of paper bills. BSP Deputy Governor Mamerto Tangonan says the use of plastic notes have several benefits, including increased security features. Furthermore, polymer's lifespan lasts more than twice as longer compared to the lifespan of paper bills.
Plastic notes last much longer, able to withstand extreme temperatures, and are likely to last 3 to 4 times longer than paper money.
But Philfida challenges the claims of the BSP. The said agency of the Department of Agriculture reveals an article of the United States federal system showing paper bills having extraordinarily longer lifespan than polymer. With this, Philfida supports numerous abaca farmers and appeals to concerned authorities to reconsider the plan to use polymer bills instead of abaca cotton banknotes. Some city residents also expressed their reluctance in shifting to the new banknote material.
Hindi po ako papayag kasi po nakakagisngan po namin nung mula pa noon pa ay ang pera natin ay talagang sa kasalukuyan ay papel na hindi siya natutunaw pa rin.
Hindi na, okay naman mabasa yung papel na yan kahit nalabhan yan hindi naman nasisira. Ba't kailangan pampalitan?
By next year, the BSP plans to issue 1,000 peso polymer bills to study its durability for the next 3 years. Asher Kadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
5 naval vessels from the Russian Pacific Fleet arrived in Manila yesterday for a port call to the Philippines. The Philippine Navy said the Russian Navy contingent is comprised of corvette Remtiaschi, 2 submarines, tanker Pechenga, and support vessel Alatao. The visit to the country is intended for routine port replenishment and for their crew to rest. The arrival of the Russian contingent in the Philippines, the accommodation and the support being extended to them underscores the promotion of peace, stability, and maritime cooperation in the region.
And before we close, we will leave you with a word, giving glory to God. From the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 13, it says, "Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man." And those are the reasons behind the news, November 17, 2021. I am Herlene Delgado.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Angelo Castro III.
And because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.